Hey there, Tommy Thievius again. So you clicked on the link, which is very exciting, and we kind of really briefly went through, why I don't really recommend networking events. Um, for us introverts, it's anxiety inducing, and for us extroverts, still, it's just the odds of you building a real connection in a random event, um, it's just low. Now maybe everyone there has something in common. You all went to the same school. You're all interested in the same industry. Like I get the appeal, but that can't really be the foundation for building your network. Interacting with total strangers is not the way to go. Now, if you just truly love going to them and enjoy them, fine. I'm not going to stop you. But that would not be in my top 5 strategies for really building a network that's going to help me break into my field, get a new job, accomplish whatever it is I'm trying to do. Messaging strangers on LinkedIn, it's just the odds are just so low of that working, and I just don't want it to destroy your confidence and eat up your precious time. And the informational interview thing, I'm sure some of you thought that one was odd, especially in Washington, D.C. That's all we talk about is informational interviews. The problem is when you phrase an interaction that way, you've created this environment of an interview. And the thing is interviews are really awkward. One person's judging the other, and that other person's trying to impress them. It's a very unnatural and awkward situation. So why are we creating this uncomfortable scenario when there's not a job on the line? Like I get going to a real interview. So rather than frame it as an informational interview, that implies you're going to impress them and that they might have something for you. I want you to set it up totally different as I'd love to learn your story, hear more about your experience, get your advice on some things I'm going through, and make it far more personal. And that way it's not awkward to continue the relationship and keep talking to them and have an in-person meeting again in 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe get a phone call the week after. That's fine because you frame the relationship as, hey, I want to build a professional mentor type relationship with you, as opposed to, I want to impress you for a job. It just can change the whole dynamic. But besides those 3 things, here are 5 things I think you can really be doing that I've helped a lot of people overcome that can really help get your career to that next level. And the first one is stop blaming yourself. A lot of the people who come into the DC Hopeless Free community are really down on themselves. And I was too for years. When I moved to DC in 2009, I had a job, but it wasn't in my field. So I went to grad school massively in debt, and I was really blaming myself. Hundreds of applications and not hearing back. And I thought, well, it had to be my fault. If my resume was more impressive, my cover letter was better written, if I knew what to say when networking, it would be better. But in fact, what I want you to start doing is not blaming yourself, but blaming these terrible tactics you've been given. The career centers of the world told you to go write cover letters and put buzzwords in your resume. They told you to go to these networking events. They told you to message strangers on LinkedIn. They said, make a list of the places you want to work, except none of that works. So you got to do what I did back in 2013 and say, you know what? I'm not the problem here. I can improve, of course, but it's these terrible broken tactics I'm using, and I want to start doing what works. And therefore, I want you to stop doubting your dreams and your future impact. So many people who join our community downplay what they want out of their career. Well, I thought I was going to work at the State Department and negotiate international treaties, but now I'd just be happy for anything. Well, I kind of dreamed on working on the Hill and moving legislation, but at this point, I just need a paycheck. And there's nothing wrong with realizing you're not going to get to your career pinnacle right out of the gates or right away or quickly, but I don't want you to start settling and doubting your dreams because you're not getting those instant results right now. Because again, it's the tactics you're using, not you and not your abilities. And so what you want to do is when you start professionally networking and really building these relationships is stop pitching. Cover letters, we're pitching ourselves. We're told to go out and give elevator pitches to people when we meet them. But instead, I want you to start making your interactions about other people. You're going to other people to hear their story and get their advice on what you should be doing. And that's going to make them feel valued and important as a human being, far beyond what they do professionally. And then it's going to get them invested in the outcome of you. And what we ultimately want is we want to have a network of people who are proactively helping us. Not waiting for us to bug them, but say, hey, Tom, I heard of this opportunity in this office. I'm going to look into it for you. I think this would be a great fit for you. Hey, I just met someone new and I want you to talk to them. Hey, I was catching up with an old boss. I think you all should connect. I think she could really help you. We need people being proactive and really pushing and opening doors for us that we just can't open ourselves. So how do you do that? Well, the first and most important thing you can do is seek help. I know that sounds crazy because you're already doing it right now, but so many people won't click buttons like this. They won't go get help, right? They think, no, I don't need anybody's help. I'll pay a resume writer, but that's not help. I'm paying for it, and I'll go apply online, and eventually I'll hear something. They think there's pride and accomplishment of getting that job and building that career all by themselves. But that doesn't make any sense, because you want to help people with your career. You want to end poverty. You want to end homelessness. You want to keep the country safe. You want to pass healthcare legislation. You want to save the environment. You want to help people. So you have to be willing to accept help to get there. And I have seen it time and time again. DC Hopefuls has thousands of members in this community that I've built in my spare time outside of my day job. And the people who really thrive and do incredible things and send me these amazing emails are the people who are willing to get help. They humble themselves to learn from me and others. And then they go out and all of their interactions are about getting help. Hey, I need some help. I need some wisdom. I need some advice. I want to hear your story. It makes people want to help them. People want to feel like they're helping other people, not like they're being used. And too many people, especially in a town like this, are constantly feeling used, and they close off. And this is what did it for me. This is the email I got in March 2013 when I found out that I didn't get a job that was way beneath my skill set. I was 4 years into my career, had a master's degree. There were 700 people who applied for a job that paid probably half of what I was making at the time. And I just had that moment right then and there where I said, enough. These online applications, these networking events, they're not working. I'm going to go out and I'm going to figure out what works. Because, when you go online, you see these job announcements like this. People are wanting you to have a master's degree and they're going to pay you $15 an hour. I remember that email in March 2013. There I was, massively in debt, living in a pathetic studio apartment, nervous every month if I was going to make rent. And I thought, how is this fair? How is this even possible? And it really motivated me to go out and do what works. And I went from hundreds of applications and like 3 interviews in 3 or 4 years to getting 14 interviews in 12 weeks. Not right out of the gates, but once I put all of this into place, broke into my field, got a new job 2 years later, have been promoted several times. It's really just been phenomenal, not just getting the job, but advancing in these jobs. And when I started DC Hopefuls a few years ago, I just wanted to help people. I wanted people to not make the same mistakes as me. And we've seen the success. People are landing jobs, they're building networks, they're learning to do things the right way, which you will all learn eventually, right? You could just suffer like I did for 4 or 5 more years and eventually figure this out. But why not learn it from me for free and avoid all the heartache and mistakes? And so that's why I really want you to come to my free Networking 101 webinar. You click the button below. This is a recording, so I can't tell you when the next one is. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk way more in depth for like 45 minutes about why cover letters and applications don't work. I'm not just going to tell you not to do it. I'm going to explain to you why it really doesn't work, why all these failed taxes have left you and me feeling like imposters, and how we can talk about ourselves without using elevator pitches, right? It's one thing for me to say, just don't use an elevator pitch, but what are you supposed to say? And then how can we use all of this to break into our new field or get a new role using these techniques? Because that's the ultimate goal, right? To break into a field that we don't have any real experience in, or maybe we're in our field, but we can't elevate to a leadership role or advance. How can we use these things, use these relationships in a way that the person helping us enjoys it and they like helping us, and we get what we want, right? That opportunity of a lifetime. And this just really is the way people have been doing it in this town and towns across this country for several years. For decades, really, right? And you'll hear in this webinar why it was really the internet and online job boards and all these things that we thought were so helpful really kind of screwed it up for a few generations. So I'm trying to undo all that one person at a time. So I really hope you join this webinar. People absolutely love it. You can click the button below, sign up. If you scroll down, you'll see a bunch of screenshots I've taken of people who've taken the webinar over the last few weeks who absolutely love it. I hope you can join us. And I hope to get to chat with you a little bit soon too. All right, have a great day.